I'm Jenny Stein. I'm a coral biologist, and I manage and coordinate the Disturbance Response Monitoring Program. Disturbance Response Monitoring Program is a coral monitoring program that assesses coral condition and health annually. And across the entire reef tract, we have partners that help survey in each jurisdiction or each area. And we all work together to get these surveys done over a 3-month period. It's a really unique effort and the largest monitoring effort in Florida. It was established back in 2005 by the Nature Conservancy and DEP, and also they worked with the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority to develop this program because coral bleaching, climate change, thermal stress were predicted to keep happening. So coral bleaching isn't necessarily something that's new. So we've known about these anomalies happening for quite some time now, but with climate change and with increasing temperatures, we know that these events are going to start happening more frequently and potentially be more severe. 2023 really started off with alarming conditions. We've had mass bleaching events in the past. 2005 was actually one of them, and again in 2014 and 15 we had back-to-back years of mass coral bleachings. But really what separates this one or makes it so different is that it began so early and water temperatures elevated so quickly. Typically in summer, waters don't get hot enough to cause coral bleaching until August at the earliest. But this year's temperatures began to rise very quickly and very early, about a month ahead of time what we consider normal. Because the waters got so hot in July, the amount of time our corals are going to spend in these stressful, hot conditions will be quite extended.
We still have about 87 degrees. That's probably surface temperature, but even on the bottom, we're still getting the same temperature, 87.
So the longer corals are bleached, the more they are deprived of nutrients. So without their zooxanthellae or their symbiotic algae that lives in their tissue, they're slowly kind of starving to death. It's almost like being on a 200-calorie diet per day without these symbiotic algae that give them most of their nutrients. So another thing that really kind of separates 2023 from the previous bleaching event in 2014 and 15 was in 2014, we saw the onset of stony coral tissue loss disease. And over the course of 7-8 years, this disease managed to kill millions of colonies. With such a depleted population from stony coral tissue loss disease, this bleaching event is much more dire.
We had one site that was very much dominated by star corals, so Orbicella annularis and Orbicella fabulata. And there was a lot of tissue on them, but they were almost entirely white. The entire reef was almost entirely white.
So these surveys are conducted to look at the health and condition of stony corals. And at each site we lay out transects. And these transects are just laying out a tape across the substrate, nothing permanent is put in, and they assess corals that lie along these transects. So they're measuring them, looking at demographics, and then they're assessing each coral's health. That's looking at bleaching, disease, or other impacts such as predation or sediment cover, things of that nature. In addition to the annual monitoring that DRM does, if we do encounter a mass bleaching event, we also will implement what we call post-bleaching surveys. So what we want to do is go back out 3 to 4 months later and do another round of surveys to look at how our reef tract has recovered or kind of assess what those impacts were. So since we saw such severe bleaching so early this summer, we determined pretty early on that we will need to do these post-bleaching surveys. But in addition to, we wanted to really increase our sample size for that post-bleaching event because we know that this event will be so severe by the end of the summer. So what we're doing is we're actually putting in these temporary markers at a select few of our randomly allocated sites. It's very simple. They're just pins where we put at the beginning and end of each transect. We take a GPS location so we can go back to the same exact location and see Have those corals that we monitored during the summer recovered from bleaching? Did we lose some colonies, or did we just lose some tissue on the colonies? And although we are seeing these high prevalences of bleaching, what we are seeing is that these corals are kind of persisting. And hopefully, as we move into fall, corals can begin to recover with these lower water temperatures and begin to get their zooxanthellae back. So that's what we're really hopeful for. And one thing that we have been noticing is that we are seeing some mortality because of bleaching, but we are seeing a surprising amount of colonies really just holding on to their tissue and surviving through the event.
Long dive.